Once again, here we're going to make a picture, a demo, and this is going to be another face portrait. All right. So let's begin. So right now we are looking at a white paper here, right? But we want to be able to imagine this. I'm imagining the face right about here. So the hair is going to be here, the forehead right there, the eyes about here, the nose, the mouth, the chin. Okay, the neck is going to be here. All right, so I have a plan. I'm actually visualizing it before I even begin drawing. Okay, so let's begin to sketch out what I'm seeing. Okay. So here, once again, friends, I'm going to be imagining the lines. The it's going to be right there like that. So you see how I'm actually positioning my pencil, my pen, but not drawing the line yet. There. All right, so I'm going to be positioning it and then drawing it right over. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to see the line. Once I see the line, I feel I'm confident, like the eyebrow is right here, just like that. So once I see, then I'm going to put it in, all right? So like just like that. And so once again, first visualize it, make sure you see, and then you're going to draw it, all right? So you need to have a good idea. So I know the hair drop is dropping like this. You see, you want to make sure you have a good idea and visualize the picture onto the paper. So you don't make a mistake. So you see, I put my lines right there. All right. And then I'm going to come. And there's a little angle right here at the cheeks. At the cheeks is a little angle. We're going to make that bend. So, I'm trying to position everything and see all the proportions. So right now, friends, as you can see, it's very clear. You're going to be able to do this line right up going this way, right? And you don't want to draw it yet, but take a good look at how I'm visualizing the line. It's right here. And then the angle up going up like that. Maybe I'm going to have the hair drop. like that, all right? And the neck is going to be right here, like so. See, now we have a good idea of what's going on. And so now, once again, friends, here it is. How am I going to visualize these lines? So I know the eye is here, right? That's where the eye is. I'm going to have an eye right there. So the first thing I'm going to see is make sure that I see this right there. You see? Right there, just like that. I hope you can see that I'm tracing it, you know? When I'm tracing it, I'm tracing the line that I see. So it's right like so. See? We don't want to make any mistake because you already saw exactly where you're going to position the eye. And then you're going to give a nice gap here. And it's right here. And once you're sure where you're going to be placing the line, all right, right there. And you want to give it a little twist. See, that's what I mean. You want to position everything. You know, want to make sure that it's in the right place, right? Now, once again, visualize it. The eyebrows are a little thicker, so let's lay down the outline. And now let's go down to the nose. So once again, you see the nose, you want to make sure you position it. See, the first thing I want to do is imagine the line, project the line on the paper, and then once I'm confident of where it is, and then I'm going to actually touch the pen on the paper and trace it, trace what I see, you know. So there you go, friends, just like that. And you want to make sure that you have those the under part of the nose, you know, so it's always like visualize it. Just like that, all right? And so here's the mouth is going to be here. So the first thing I'm going to be sure to see what I'm going to draw first. So I already see that the mouth is about here. The upper lip is right there. Just like that. Boom. You know, you visualize it first, and you see if I want you to follow the way my pen is tracing the line without actually drawing it. For example, the bottom lip is right here. See, I first see the line, and then I lay it down, right? And the lower lip is right about here. You see how I'm tracing it without actually drawing the line? All right, now let me see, maybe the chin is a little, if I feel that the chin is a little bigger or whatever, it's time to make some adjustments, you know. And you don't want to worry about all these extra lines. You can just blend it in later on when you're coloring it in, okay? All right, and then make sure that the neck is properly connected. right, so we're getting to bring a little shape to this. And so now what we're going to be thinking about is to bring a form to it, to form it up, which means you're going to make sure you look at these, the cheekbones, the dimensions, the perspectives. So let's do that now, and let's start adding the structure to it. And also you want to think about now the lights and shades and what you want to do with it. So you see, now what I do is I go back and retrace everything and refix it and try to make changes. And we still haven't done the eyes. And so it's time to rearrange, fix, bring it all together. So once again, friends, the point is that the first thing you're doing is to make sure that you visualize the line and then you draw the line. Once you draw the lines, it's then a question of like bringing form and structure and this kind of thing where right here, the cheekbone, pop things up. Where you see that? So once you have a basic layout, right? And then you can go and look into the filling in all the details, all right? So you want to consider where she's looking at, the direction. Now let's dig into some color and see what we can put in there and enhance it up a little, okay? So I'm using brown as a basic under drawing. So let's build that in. I'm using the brush like a pencil. And so I like to leave those strokes. And in the beginning, my concern is this outlines, the contours, you know. So we want to be careful with the contours. All right, now it's time to fill in all this. And you know, this is like an underpainting, like an underdrawing, okay? And let's see where we can lay in some shadows. Right? And let's pop in a little bit of color. Nice and good, just like that. And so you want to fill that in. All right. All right, let's go and try to differentiate. And you're looking for those values, you know? You want to get those values right. So, all right, so we build it just like that. So once again, always visualize it and make sure the difference between this white, this gray, and the darks, you know? You want to have that values showing. And if you have those values showing, then you are in good shape. So take a look, everybody. There you go. You know, right there. It's looking good, kind of. All right, so we continue and add to those values, you know. So what we want to be, what I'm trying to do here is to make sure that we have those differences between the white, the gray, and the black. And in this case, it's going to be those brown shades of the browns, right? So that's what is the idea. You see, we need that little thing right there, just like that. Right now, the white area here is doesn't have too much of a shadow except for a little bit of this. And so now let's go back and fill in the eye and let's try to put something a little bit different. All right, so as you can see, friends, it's taking good shape up here. And now let me see, what can we do with the eyes, you know? And so at this point, what I want to be able to do is to keep a lot of the white area and then light, just with a little bit of shadows. You want to make things pop out, you know? That's the point. Now let's go back and see if we can make some color in the eyes. And we always want to leave a see nice and close. You see the eye right there, friends. All right. So now with the eye, what you want to do is there's a black spot in it, the pupil, and then there's a white spot. So you want to make sure you can show that. It's also a little bit tricky because you want to make sure that the paper is dry before you put in those final highlights, all right? So now we have some idea of the initial layout, I would say this is. So let's now do a second layer, sort of like glaze it in, you know? So what we're doing here is now glazing it in to pop it up a little bit more and to fill in some of those. So I'm still using this brown color and try to show some difference in these values up here, you know, in her hair. So we can just pop things out a little bit. As you can see, friends, right there, the values. So friends, I'll be back to finish this off. So let's give this a little break. I'm going to give it a, we'll be back in, we're going to be back in, so here, let me write that down, friends. Okay. Back in 5, okay? So let me put this right here. Back in 5. And then we'll see what we can do. We're going to finish it. All right, friends. So it's very nice to have gotten where we have gotten so far. But it's like, at this point, what we want to think about is these values. You don't want to mess it up. So you have to be careful to make sure that you're sticking to those values, and keeping them things. So it's time to polish it up a little bit, and you have to be very careful not to overdo anything. Because you see the white area up here, that's very important. Because the contrast between this light area and this value up here is very, very important, that you don't want to mess it up. So in this case, there's just a few shadows, along the nose right here, and just like that. But other than that, it is all right. So now we want to try to see if we can fill this area in. Polish those outlines. Okay. And let's go back to the eye a little bit. So you need to see that. You see what I'm saying? You need to see in the eye, you need to see the dark, the light, and the medium. If you're going to do that, the dark, the pupil, and the little tiny little dot of the white. That's very important, friends. That little dot right there. All right, now we have some idea of this. What we're going to do is see if we can fill in some color for the cheeks and everything. So this is where you have to be. And you can take any color really. I'm just using some orange with a little, yellow and a little bit of crimson red and a little bit of brown. Right, and kind of like lighten it up with water. So this would be the underpainting, right? and then you want to like wait for it to dry, come back to it later, and go over it again. All right, now so let's lay in a little bit of the background and then call it done. Okay, let's see. We can put a little bit of blue and some green maybe. Just lay in some background color, you know. Now, as you can see, friends, we are going to lay in these colors in the background. So we are actually trying to make sure that there's some differentiation, you know, pop things up a little bit. And let's go in with a complementary red for her shirt. And in the background, you know, we're going to see what that turns out. But as you can see, friends, there we go. Nice and easy. So right now, as you can see, friends, so if we are going to review this back, we started off with the brush. Always imagine the lines. We did the drawing, and you know, we got to where we are here right now. I hope you all enjoyed this. We want to stop it right now at this point, allow the things to dry up, okay, before we do any other layers on it. So once again, thank you all for watching. There's our picture up close. There's the mouth. There's the nose and the mouth. Boom, the eye. As you can see, the eye are very good. Very, very nice. Boom, there you go, the other eye. The neck, the shadow on the neck. And let's not forget the hair. All right, everybody. Have a great day, friends. Thank you for watching. Please tune in, subscribe, like,